Hello, everyone. This is Darcinovia here. This time, I'm reviewing Star Wars: Tales of the Bounty Hunters. I never, you know, had that much of an interest in reading short stories, but since I'm a completionist and I want to read everything in the expanded universe that I can, what do I think of these? Well, these are a collection of stories that revolve around, the bounty hunters that feature on this cover, like Boba Fett, Dengar, Brosk, IG-88, and some of the lesser known ones. What do I think of these stories? Well, I'm just going to talk about them in order. You know, IG-88, holy shit, that fucking scary shit. I mean, this is scary just how close IG-88 was to taking over the Death Star. If you actually think that any character, like Boba Fett is the most dangerous bounty hunter, you have never read the short story of IG-88. This fucking... He's insane. He potentially, in the Star Wars universe, there could have been galactic Armageddon. It could have been like fucking Terminator on a galactic scale. That's how fucking scary IG-88 was. It was really it was kind of frightening just how dangerous he is. And it's a good thing that IG-88 died when he did, because the galaxy would have been fucked. The second story, which deals with Dengar, I really love this too. Because, there aren't that many stories of Dengar in there. And I didn't think Dengar was that interesting of a character until I read that short story. Would I want another story about him? No. I think some characters are better off as a one-off. I felt he was a interesting character. You learned certain things about his past that you didn't know before. And I didn't know he was married in the expanded universe. That was very interesting. And it's one of the first accounts that I can think of where you find about the survival of Boba Fett, though it's been covered in multiple sources. Then you have the third story, which is my least favorite, which deals with Brosk, which the story doesn't really have much to do with him. How would I think of the story? It's okay. I would have been more interested in it. It had the story focused more on Brosk, but I don't think Kathy Travers, I think she wrote that story. Let me check. Sorry guys, just give me a sec. I don't know if she wrote the story. Yeah, Kathy Travers. I don't think she knew what to do with it. If this was probably written during the Del Raid era, I believe we would have had a better story with him, because I saw this. It was a potential for a great story, but because the Bantam era, it wasn't. You didn't have that many dark storylines in here. I feel like it was a wasted opportunity. Didn't mind it though. It's just the weakest, in my opinion. It wasn't as interesting to read like some of the other stories. The tale of, I think I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Zacharias, Zach, yes, and for Lom. I think for Lom. It was an interesting story. It wasn't as good as the first two, but it was better than Brosk. Because it actually focused on the characters that the story was about. It also explains what happens to some of the people on Hoth in a way, and how they became basically rebel agents. It's an interesting story. I enjoyed it. The last story, which I feel like is one of the ones that stands out the most for me, especially the ending, was The Tale of Boba Fett. This is the one that a lot of people talk about how, the prequel contradicted this story because his name was Jaster. Well, Jaster, we learn later in the expanded universe, which I reviewed this comic already, was actually Jango Fett's mentor. And Boba Fett, he went through by many names throughout the years, so that could be the retcon there. But despite that, how was the story? I felt it was really good. It covered various events throughout Boba Fett's life that they were allowed to cover at the time. And the way it ended was basically, do I really want to spoil the ending for the story? No. But let's just say the ending is something was like, oh yeah, I definitely imagine that happening. And there aren't that many stories, at least in novel form, that really get into Boba Fett's head. And I felt that was a real treat. It makes me want to read the Bounty Hunter Wars. I'll probably do that at a different day, though, because I want to review the prequels, actually. Which, speaking of which, next time I review Star Wars novels, I'm going to talk about the last 2 books of the Jedi Apprentice series, and then we're going to stay in the prequels for a while. So, later, everyone. Have a good day. May the Force be with you, and see you guys later.